All right, you guys are super quick. Love it. Just like give it a minute or two while the community still joins. But if you guys just want to come and say hello, so how's it going? Upside team, Hash, Tejas, how you guys doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you, Fred.
Yeah, doing good, doing good. We just
Very
finished
good.
one of our sessions.
Fantastic. So who's behind the official Upside Finance Twitter account today?
That's me, Nishant.
Perfect. Excellent. Thanks, Nishan. Appreciate it.
But
And Tejas,
Tejas will be doing most of our talking today, I guess.
got it. And how are you doing today, Tejas?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. It's 2 a.m. here in Hong Kong, but I'm excited to be here.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks for pulling, the early bird all nighter, whatever you're doing. Appreciate that. Very, very interested for the conversation we're gonna have today. And by the way, just out of curiosity, do you live there or you just have, temporarily?
No, I've lived in Hong Kong. I've been in Hong Kong for the past 20 years.
Oh wow, that's awesome. How do you like it?
Um, well, that's a controversial topic. I think I can't say anything bad. Chinese government might be, you know, observing my voice.
Gotcha. That's cool. But yeah, anyway, I appreciate you taking, the wrong time of the day to be talking to us. Truly appreciate it.
No problem.
Fantastic. And we're just waiting on the X staking team. I don't know if they'll be joining us or not. Hopefully so. Just give another minute, then we get started. By the way, if the X taking team is already listening to us, plus please just hit the mic request button and I'll bring you to the speaker board. All right. But anyway, I think we can get started because we have mostly everybody already here in the speaker board today. So, Algo fam, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's an absolute pleasure to have all of you joining us live right now today. And of course, to all of you that are going to be catching the recording of this conversation over the next 30 days. It is an absolute pleasure to be here, joined by my friends, my fellow Reddit moderators, and digital community champions of the Algorand Foundation, Hash and SciSec. Thank you very much for your presence. Always a pleasure to have these conversations along with you guys. And today I'm happy, but also a little bit sad because today is the fifth Twitter Spaces that we're doing with the Algorand Miami Accelerator, and I'm happy for that, but I'm sad because it's the last one we're going to be doing with the current cohort. However, stay tuned because there will be some really cool news coming up soon. We're not going to let this die, right? But so we've been doing this already with another 8 startups that we have spoken to over the last few weeks, and then today we're joined by Upside Finance and Next Staking, which are going to be talking about their projects, their products, everything they're building, their team, roadmap, and answering to lots of questions that myself, Hash, SciSec have. And of course, always willing and very happy to take questions from the community, all right? So I'm super excited about this. And just to begin with a very quick round of introductions. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Fred, head of product marketing at the Argand Foundation. As I said, I'm joined today by my friends and fellow Reddit moderators and community champions, Sai, Second Hash. And we're also joined by the Algorand Miami Accelerator, which of course is the one enabling all of this magic to happen. They have already concluded one very successful cohort by accelerating 10 startups last year, and they are now undergoing the second cohort, which Upside Finance and Next Taking are part of. So thank you very much for all the amazing work you have been doing over this past year and a half, I believe, since operations began. I'm truly excited. Some great ecosystem startups came out of your programs, and I'm super excited to see, where all the startups currently being accelerated are going to be in 1, 3, 6, 12 months. This is super exciting. So congratulations to all of you guys for the amazing work you're doing for our ecosystem. Just a quick reminder to everybody who's listening to us that this conversation is going to be recorded, and also we're going to open for community questions towards the end of our conversation today. So maybe after 45 minutes we're going to open to community questions. So in the meantime, while you're listening to the conversation, if you have any doubts or you want to follow up on something that has been discussed, please just hit the mic request button, and it's going to be a pleasure to bring you guys to the speaker board so you can ask your questions directly to the teams. All right. So the dynamics today is going to be very simple. So we're going to start with a very, very brief introduction of each project and team. Then myself, SciSec, and Hash are going to ask, some questions that we have already prepared for each of the projects. And then, of course, we'll take questions from the community. So I'm going to start with a round of introductions for the teams, and I'll begin with Upside Finance. So for those of you who don't know, Upside Finance is building a mobile application-based portfolio tracker and DeFi aggregator that allows users to easily access the Algorand DeFi ecosystem from a single user interface. Their mission is to help onboard the next million users onto Algorand by simplifying the user experience and removing the complexities of investing in DeFi. And by the Upside Finance team today, we're joined by Tejas and Nishan. Tejas is a recent computer science graduate from Hong Kong who has worked at several startups in technical roles related to electronics engineering, web development, and machine learning. Shortly after graduation, he joined IBM as a technology and business consultant, where he managed data pipelines for Cathay Pacific Airlines. While working at IBM, he was introduced to blockchain and the Algorand space through several hackathons organized by Encode Club, and then finally quit his job in May of this year to pursue a full-time project in Algorand. And Tejas, I commend you for that, all right? And we're also, from the Upside Finance team, we're joined by Nishan, who is a product designer who has worked on numerous startups projects before co-launching Upside Finance with Tejas. He discovered his passion for computer-generated designs while studying architecture, and later pursued user experience design while working on numerous freelance projects. His first startup project was in the education technology sector, and later he moved on to develop products in the blockchain space. So I just want to make a quick stop here to give Tejas and Nishan, a chance to give a very brief pitch of your project. So maybe you can take 3 or 4 minutes just to do a better job than I did, in pitching your project before we move on to the X-staking team. So the floor is all yours.
Sure, Fred, I think you did a pretty good job already. Basically, to add on to what you said, we conducted a series of interviews with several DeFi users on Algorand, and we found that the experience on other chains is quite intuitive and simple to use because of the tooling that exists. But on Algorand, it's currently lacking. That's why we decided to build this mobile-based DeFi aggregator and portfolio tracker application that makes it super easy for existing and new users to come onto the Algorand DeFi ecosystem and start taking advantage of the super low transaction fees, super fast TPS, and other benefits that come from Algorand.
That is fantastic. Love it. Thank you, Tejas. And Nisha, do you have anything to add?
Oh, well, we love the community so far. Like, we have been able to connect with the founders of almost every major project on in this ecosystem, and that's what is attractive for us as well. Like, you don't get to do this, man, on any other blockchain. I don't think so. So we are really really grateful for that, and we have benefited a lot from the accelerator as well. So yeah, just excited for what's to come and what we are building.
That is fantastic. Thanks for sharing. Hey, I may be a little bit biased to say this, but I 100% agree with you, right? I do believe that we have the best community of community members, of builders, developers, founders in the entire blockchain space. We're so strong together, and I absolutely love and admire that. And I just want to take a quick second to say, with a very big heart, a thank you to all of our community, right? And when I say community, it's the community members, it's builders, it's founders, it's devs, it's everybody that makes up this strong family that we already have, and we're growing strong by the day. It doesn't matter what's happening in the outside world, we keep growing, we keep building. So I 100% agree with that, but of course, with a little bit of brain salt because I'm super biased to say this, but I appreciate the kind words. And then moving forward with the agenda for today, I'm going to give a quick introduction of X-staking. So X-staking is combining the low fees on modern high throughput blockchains such as Algorand and the cross-chain messaging platform Wormhole into a service that allows users to earn yield from the Ethereum DeFi protocols without leaving the low fee environment of Algorand. This makes it super simple, one click and cheap, only paying basically Algorand gas fees while retaining security through smart contracts. And unfortunately, it looks like the X-staking team could not make it to our conversation today. But so if they join throughout, of course, we'll bring them to the speaker board and we can have them introduce themselves and also ask a few questions to them. But Tejas and Nishan, we're going to be focusing all on you guys today, right? So, brace yourselves because we have lots of really good questions prepared for you. And again, just want to give a quick reminder to the community that if you have any questions, for the Upside team or the X-staking team, if they join us in a few minutes, just hit the mic request button at any time, and then we're going to bring you to the speaker board so you can ask your questions directly to Tejas, Nishan, and the X-staking team when they join. All right. So I'm ready to get started. So if you guys are, I'm ready. So Tejas, Nishan, are you guys ready for the questions?
Yeah, absolutely. I just hope they're not too tough on us.
We're not. Do not worry. But we're just very excited and very curious. So we have some good questions lined up for you guys. So I'll start by passing the word to my friend Hash, which I believe wants to get started by asking you guys the first question.
Yeah. Hey guys. So my first question is, do you plan to offer a wallet with your own user interface to enter into smart contracts, or will you rely on an external wallet instead? And what are some of the security considerations that you took into consideration?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think because we are a younger project and we are still going through the fundraise process and we haven't done the security audits as of yet, when we do launch, on mainnet, I think we will still integrate with Para or my Algo wallet at least for a little while, just because we don't want to take on the risk of storing people's seed phrases. But once the security audits are complete and once we do build accountability and trust with the community, we will transition into like a wallet type of service where users can input their seed phrases into the app.
Awesome. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Fantastic. And I do have a question for you. Maybe Tejas, you're going to be the one to take on this. And I absolutely love the product you guys are building. But as you already know, the community knows there is some competition already in the Algorand ecosystem, right? For the kind of project you're trying to create. So I'm just very curious to what do you think sets Upside Finance apart from your competitors, and feel free to expand as much as you want on the current business model, and also what may be coming down the pipeline that you think is going to set you apart. In this as you guys roll into mainnet in the Algorand ecosystem.
Yeah, sure. So basically, the way that we are kind of thinking about our own product in the long term is that we're not just building a DeFi wallet for Algorand. We're trying to bring liquidity from other chains, and we're also trying to bring in new users who were not previously into DeFi. Obviously, that's a pretty long-term bet, especially on Algorand, but I think that's a wise bet to make because Algorand's technology is one of the best. And so what that really looks like in terms of our product in the long term is that we will start with a DeFi aggregator and portfolio tracker that helps existing DeFi users on Algorand. We will slowly expand to other chains and bring in liquidity from those chains. And then eventually what we aim to do is kind of abstract away the the complexity of DeFi and blockchain in general and offer our product to mass audiences. So that means like your mom and dad or your aunties and uncles who may not be super tech savvy. So I think the vision of our product is quite different. We're just starting out in the same places as other projects.
That is amazing. And just double check, you guys are only app based, right? So you're not going to be building like a browser solution. It's 100% app, correct?
Yep, that's right. We found that a lot of existing DeFi users actually prefer a mobile-based experience, and certainly your mom and your dad would probably prefer a mobile experience as well, just because they're familiar with like WhatsApp and Instagram and Facebook. So, yeah, mobile-based for now.
Got it. And
And
just also to follow up on something you mentioned before. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ishan. I'll make my follow up.
oh no, I was just gonna say that more people have mobile phones, like even in India or any Asian countries, I believe most people have mobile phones, and it would be much easier for these people to use our application through devices that they already have.
Got it, got it. And just to follow up on another point that you mentioned, like a little bit before in your introduction. So, given that you guys are not, at least not at this point, willing to hold the private keys and whatnot, so it's safe to assume that in the beginning you're going to be connected directly to the Para wallet for your operations. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right. We will be integrating with Para when we launch.
Fantastic, thanks. All right, I'll pass it along to Sisek.
Hi guys. I think you started with AlgoFi linked lossless lotteries. I remember using your testnet some time ago. Do these still exist? And if not, can you tell us a little bit something about your thinking process behind your pivot?
Yeah, sure. So when we were first introduced to the Algorand ecosystem, we were just kind of playing around and experimenting. We found that Yieldy had their lossless lottery, but it wasn't a true DeFi lossless lottery, meaning that it relied on the participation rewards from the foundation to give away the prize to the lottery winner. And so we thought that maybe there's a better way to do this with true yield. And that's why we built that testnet version of the lossless lottery that you use. But as we went through the Accelerator program and we spoke with several lawyers and received advice from mentors, we realized that a lossless lottery may not be the best like business model or business in general when you're dealing with regulations, especially in the US where majority of the Algorand user base is concentrated at. So that was kind of like the biggest reasons why we kind of pivoted away from the lossless lottery. But we're not completely scrapping it. We already built the smart contracts for it. We were ready to launch, but given that legal considerations we had to make, I think what we'll end up doing is probably like putting that further down the roadmap, so that users can still have a fun time experimenting with lossless lotteries. But that's after we make the legal considerations.
Actually, quite interesting. Do you think now that we've gotten, or we're about to get, the verified random function opcode into the AVM, do you think that will, that be a stronger reason to bring it back, to kind of like offload some of the lottery, the randomness to more, offload it sort of to the blockchain?
Yeah, definitely. We were really excited when we heard that the VRF functionality is coming natively on chain. And what's more is when we launched that testnet, it was kind of like a semi-centralized solution as well, because back then I think none of the DeFi protocols upgraded to the newer version of Teal, which meant that we couldn't like integrate their smart contract with ours. So since Algorand released Teal v7, I believe, and also released the VRF functionality, we can actually build a fully decentralized lossless lottery now.
Yeah, and there's also Algorand Box. Yeah, it's really interesting because we had on our subreddit we had a team who were doing centralized poker, or they're doing poker, and we were talking about like how much of this is centralized, how much of this is reliant on your your servers working. What's stopping you guys from just disappearing with the money? When you're putting all that trust. So I mean, it's curious just from a technical standpoint, from a legal standpoint, and if you're going from the provider of the randomness to just more of like a facilitator, bringing people together in a way. I think you have a follow-up.
Yep. Since you live in Hong Kong, don't you have some leeway there? Is the legal situation different from the US?
So in Hong Kong, as far as I know, all forms of gambling are illegal. I know lotteries still do run in Hong Kong, but like you can't give away prize money. You need to give away like physical products, like smartphones or like furniture, for example. And Nishan, do you want to add something about Australian laws? I know that was also a big
Yeah.
consideration.
With Australia, like we we were almost getting like proper legal advice, but then we decided to drop it because we were running out of money there. And we just decided that it's probably not worth it at this point. Again, like it boils down to who is building the product, right? Like we don't want regulators behind our back at a really early stage where we don't even have the money to justify our product. And we know that Australia is like this is where people gamble on horse racing, or like they bet on I guess like dog racing as well. But yeah, to understand the laws better around gambling, like we would have had to spend a lot of money, which we don't really have at the moment.
But Tejas, you live right next to Macau, which is the Las Vegas of Asia, basically. Do you know anything about how they are approaching this?
So I haven't really explored the regulations in Macau specifically. What I can say is that basically the country which you operate in doesn't really matter that much. It's the country that you market to matters. So I could be like in BVI, but I could be marketing my product to the US. My product will still fall under US regulations because ultimately the users are going to be from the US, and they're going to be affected if anything goes wrong. So regardless of which country you really incorporate in, it doesn't affect the legal consequences, and that's the reason why we decided to put the lossless lottery on hold.
And this is like really evident if you start accessing online gambling services. Like I couldn't do it. I couldn't access many of the services or gambling services that were based on Bitcoin from Australia, at least. Like I could use a VPN and then just go pretend to be from another country, and then I could access it. So I guess that also gives us an idea of how the regulations are.
Sure, makes sense. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. That was a good lesson. Appreciate it. All right, so I have a question for you that, in your statement, you said that your mission is to help onboard the next million users onto Algorand by simplifying the user experience and removing complexities of investing in DeFi, which we all know that, it's kind of trivial for us, kind of crypto natives, but it's still far away from real world adoption. So my question is simple to you, Tejas, and Nishan, is like, how are you planning to achieve that? Like, what is the go-to market strategy? How do you plan on bridging, not only users from other protocols, other blockchain ecosystems, but also, the regular, mom and pop and the neighbor next door to come to Algorand DeFi through the Upside Finance platform?
So Tejas, do you want me to go, or like do you want to go?
No, you can go ahead. Go ahead, please.
So initial goal is to just onboard the existing users, but that involves simplifying user experience to a certain extent because we want to stand out. And that would eventually lead us to the next step where we can provide services that are present on other blockchains, but they are not really present on Algorand. So that would help us bring in more audience from other blockchain and bring in more liquidity as well. And eventually, like the products on Web3, we feel that it may kind of replicate, at least in terms of UI, to existing products. So it's easier for us to onboard people from that we call mom and dad. So because these guys are basically familiar with stock exchange UIs, right? And probably it might be a better idea to design something that looks similar and familiar for them. At least that's the way we are thinking of it.
Yeah, just to kind of give you an example, if you take adding liquidity into an AMM, like as an example, right? It's not completely straightforward, because what's the first thing you need to do? Well, first thing you need to do is like convert your algos into like the token A, and then convert it into token B, and then particularly in an Algorand, you have to opt into both those tokens. You have to opt into uh, the the AMM's pool smart contract, and then you have to deposit, and then you have to opt into the LP token. So it takes almost, I would estimate like 10 steps or 10 clicks to invest in an AMM. And that's why we also decided to include this one-click invest feature into our app. Basically, once we do go through these security audits and we do um, allow users to input their seed phrase, we basically abstract away all of the complexities of swapping and opting in. Um, and to the user, it's just like investing in stock through Robinhood. And yeah, a super simple experience for them. So they don't need to know about the blockchain aspect or the Algorand specific terminologies, basically.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that. That's super exciting. And I just want to follow up on something that Nishan mentioned. And I think you guys already realized they should not be dropping offers here because I'm going to capitalize on them. All right. So Nishan, you quickly mentioned that, eventually after you guys roll out the first version of the protocol, you want to start adding some solutions that exist in other ecosystems, other protocols that are not necessarily on our ecosystem right now. Is there any alpha that you can drop, or what do you guys have in the pipeline, in the roadmap, or at least some ideas of what these other sorts of features and products you can bring to your own protocol, or nothing that you can share at this point in time?
So we would have a pilot ready in the next few weeks' time. We are actually building it right now, and we had some. Man, I'm struggling for words here. Tejas, could you help me with this? We had some issues with developing our product, and I think Tejas would be a better person to explain. This would be a better person to explain what problems we have faced so far and why how we are launching the product.
Sorry, Fred, you were referring to like our roadmap specifically. I couldn't hear the question just now.
Yeah. Just wondering if there's anything that you can share of solutions and products that you guys see in other protocols, other ecosystems that you currently don't see in ours, and that you plan to add to Upside Finance, as you evolve. But again, if you guys don't have that information or cannot share at the moment, not a problem at all.
Right. One of the things that we found through our user interviews is that people are kind of spoiled on other chains. That's because they have got the tooling, they need and the dashboards that they need to make investment decisions into DeFi. So one simple example is, let's say, an impermanent loss tracker. That's something quite important when you're adding liquidity to a AMM, right? And another big thing is tracking your profit and loss. I don't think there's any solution on Algorand to track whether your net worth is going up or down over a period of time. So it's like little things like that that help users take better decisions with their DeFi investing.
Love it. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate it. All right, Hash, your turn.
Yeah, I noticed just by checking out your profile that you're building on Reach. So I'm curious, how did you end up building on Reach? How has your experience been? And is anything you can share with other developers who might be facing a dilemma of what to choose or what to build their Algorand project on?
Sure. So I actually had a somewhat different experience than most Algorand devs. I actually started with Reach and then I moved to PyTeal. When I was just starting out on Algorand, I was, I did not really know much about blockchain. And I was like a pretty fluent JavaScript developer. And when I saw Reach for the first time, I thought it was kind of like a aha moment for me because like this is exactly like JavaScript. I know JavaScript. I can build a smart contract in um, without like worrying about the complexities of blockchain. And as I went through it, I kind of fell in love with Reach. It was such a user friendly experience. I think I wrote my first smart contract within a couple of hours, if I remember correctly. So yeah, if I think what I would suggest is if you're coming from a Web 2 background and you're a JavaScript developer specifically, I think Reach is like your definitely go-to language. But once you start, becoming a more proficient blockchain developer, and you know the specifics of smart contracts, I think it is a good bet to learn PyTeal and Teal. That's because obviously the foundation is going to support PyTeal and Teal with the newest features, the latest features on those two languages, and you can also kind of understand how the smart contract works on I guess like a machine level. Um, Obviously, Reach abstracts away a lot of the complexity, but I think as a engineer, as a developer, it's important to know like the specifics of how the AVM works as well.
Wait, sorry, did you switch over to PyTeal or are you still on Reach? Because you said you came from one direction, they went the other.
Yeah, so I'm on PyTeal now. I'm not building any smart contracts at the moment because we're a wallet, but I think once we do start building smart contracts, we'll probably use PyTeal.
Okay. Yeah, there's also something called Beaker, a framework called Beaker, developed by a Twitter user named Barnjamin. He's in the Algorand DevRel team. So yeah, we're getting more and more choices when it comes to those things. I think one of my fellows had a question.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take this one because I'm curious. So, I asked in the beginning, you said you're planning on integrating with Para for launch, and just out of curiosity, like longer in your roadmap, and I know these things change, right? But like, would you consider adding support to other app-based wallets as they come online, or do you guys think that you're gonna, just have Para as a starting point, but then eventually migrate towards being yourself your own wallet? What is the plan here?
I think at least in the short term, we want to give people the flexibility of choosing whichever wallet they want to use it with. I mean, obviously, the portfolio tracking feature that can work with any wallet. The app doesn't need your seed phrase for that to work. So I think we'll still integrate with all of the other wallets, but our main focus is really on that one-click functionality, one-click investing functionality, and the DeFi aggregation part. Yeah, but to answer your question in short, I think we'll end up to answer your question in short, I think we'll end up supporting both.
Awesome, thank you. Hash?
Yeah, you mentioned earlier, if I don't remember, I'm misremembering, that you were looking for funding or you're fundraising. Is that right? Or
Yep, that's right. We are, speaking with investors at the moment.
yeah, would you be is a token launch in the works of some kind?
Actually, no. We haven't really decided on a token yet. We think that we should. I mean, this is just like from I guess coming from a Web2 background. I think it's important to get that product market fit. I think, like, build something that's actually valuable to users before. Uh, just launching a token, and particularly in our product, we're kind of relying on the transaction fee model, because as people invest through our platform, we can take like a 0.3% transaction fee cut, and so a token may or may not be like the best solution for us. We haven't really decided on launching a token as of yet.
To add on to that, like the token that we had launched initially, that is only acting as a rewards token for our followers. That's still in the works, but yeah, um, it won't be kind of a key feature, I guess you could say.
Hash got disconnected, so I'm going to take it from here. Quick question: did you develop your app Cosmos? So will it be available on Android and iOS?
Yeah, it's gonna be cross-platform. I think during our launch, we will probably do web initially, just to make it accessible to everyone. And launching your app on App Store and Play Store takes a few weeks, I believe, because it needs to go through the approvals. So when we do launch our alpha version, it'll be through web, and then eventually Android and iOS.
And since you are going to let us compare pools, do you plan to display possible strategies? For example, if I want the most APR on USDC, do this?
Yeah, we think that type of like strategy building would probably be best for a yield aggregator. Right now, the issue is most of the DeFi protocols, they are using like TLV5 or something. I don't remember exactly, but the composability of the DeFi protocols isn't super possible right now. But like looking into the future, um, once they do upgrade to the newer teal version, and we can build those DeFi strategies, automated DeFi strategies. Um, I think we could potentially take on that role of building those aggregators, or if someone else decides to build that, we can integrate that into our app and allow users to take advantage of the yields.
Awesome. Thanks, Tejas. And I do have another question for you, but I just want to make a quick break and just remind the community that, guys, if you're listening to us live right now and you have any questions, just hit the mic request button. All right, it's going to be an absolute pleasure to take questions from the community. So if you have any questions for them, just hit the mic request button right now. But then following on my question stages, you mentioned that you guys have a plan of possibly becoming a cross-chain liquidity aggregator, correct? Can you talk a little bit more about that? What would be the plans? How would it entail? And then if you're going to use in other protocols to do the bridging, you want to do it yourselves, just know what would be the plan. What would the plan look like for you guys to become cross-chain liquidity aggregators?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, we haven't really looked that deeply into the cross-chain solutions as of yet. We're still building the alpha, so we want to kind of like build a valuable product for Algorand first, and then once we, satisfy the users of Algorand, we want to integrate with other chains. But that's gonna be like another, I would say, 6 months to a year. So yeah, really haven't planned that out as of yet. But we know it's possible because it's Algorand, right?
Of course. Thanks, appreciate it. All right, Hash.
Yeah.
Like, can you guys hear Hash, or is it just me who lost him?
Can't hear him.
Yeah, I think it was kicked out again. I think it was kicked out again. All right. Well, just he's probably going to be back in a minute or so. So I'm just going to ask you another follow-on question. Is that if you can share also a little bit about your business plan? How you're going to be generating revenue, and you mentioned there's probably not a token in the pipeline, at least not for the foreseeable future. So no, just curious about more of like the business plan of the company itself, if you can share.
Right. So for the business plan, right, we have been considering different options. So one is like the straightforward one where we basically take a percentage cut, like they just said, like 0.3% of the transaction fees. The other one that we have been thinking about is kind of like a Web2 model where people buy subscriptions. So instead of purchasing subscriptions, they purchase our NFTs, which gives them access to pro features. And this is just something that we have been considering since we already have designed some NFTs, not minted them, but we're just looking, exploring ways at the moment.
Got it. Thank you. And it looks like Hash is back. So Hash, if you can hear me, can you ask your question now? Hey Hash, are you there? All right.
Keep getting kicked out. Yeah, well, we had Stacy on. I got kicked out so often. I'm still super sad about that. But I get to my question now. So you mentioned on your website that you plan to offer users investment strategies from other users on your platform. Could you talk a little bit more about this?
Yeah, sure. So we spoke to a few influencers on Algorand, and basically, a lot of users or their friends, they take advice from those influencers as to which tokens that they should invest in or which pools that they should add liquidity to. And so we thought that instead of like that only happening with influencers and their followers through Discord channels, why don't we like try to automate that process? So I in our app, but we're thinking about this. We haven't fully completely implemented this, but the feature would be where you can like follow other people's wallets, and when they make a trade or they make an investment, you get notified of that. So for example, if like let's say C will like one of the largest influencers on Algorand, he buys a token of a project, you'll be notified of that, and then you can choose to make that same purchase or not. Basically gives you more information, into your decision, into other people's decision making.
Okay, so it would be something that you'll be tracking people who might not even be on your platform, like who might not even be using your product. You just have somehow been able to identify, that they own a specific account.
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
Fred, go ahead.
All right, so I have two questions for you. The first one is an easy one, and the second I'm curious about. So the first one is, how big is your team? And maybe, am I speaking to the whole team in the Studio Spaces right now, or are there more people to your team?
No, it's just me and Deshant, just the two of us.
Nice. So I got the. Go ahead.
Yeah, we kind of complement each other with our skills. I come from a design background. He comes from a tech background. We have some help with marketing every now and then, but I think for now it just works.
Absolutely, that's amazing. So, now I'm even more honored that I'm joined by 100% of the Upside Finance team here in the Studio Spaces today. That is amazing. Thanks, guys. But the follow-up question that I have to that is that, of course, we're being accelerated by the Algorand Miami Accelerator, the whole reason why we're hosting this series of Studio Spaces and talking to you today. So I'm just curious on how has been your experience with the Miami Accelerator so far? What have you learned? What have been the good points? Anything that we can share, we would very much appreciate.
Yeah, it's been kind of like a really, really crucial journey for our project. I think the amount of advice and mentorship we receive from the Accelerator program has truly been like invaluable for us. Like I mentioned previously, we were doing that no loss lottery, but through the Accelerator program, we received that legal advice from several different lawyers, which allowed us to take legal considerations before launching our project, and that's why we pivoted into this DeFi dashboard. But apart from that as well, right? It's through the Accelerator program. It kind of opens up your network as well. It's so much easier to meet like founders of other large projects. Like we've met with AlgoFi's founders, Folks Finance founders, and so it becomes much easier to create partnerships with them because of the Accelerator.
And it's not just the founders, right? Like we are in this, just the founders, right? Like we are in this Twitter space with you, Fred, and we are chatting with Cybersec and Hash. We wouldn't have been able to do this without the Accelerator. Like all these valuable connections. We feel it would help us in the short term as well as in the long run, because we are building all these partnerships at the very beginning, and it only goes up from here.
Fantastic. That's amazing to hear. Thank you for sharing, guys.
Yeah, I'm curious about how did you guys meet? Because Tejas, you're in Hong Kong, and Nishant, you're in Australia. So how did you meet? Where did you meet? How did you decide to create a company together?
So I met Nishant when I went on exchange to Australia at the same university, and yeah, like he introduced some of his work he was doing. He was a designer, a freelance designer back then, and we kept in touch over the years. And then last year, he approached me to basically ask for some like technical advice regarding one of the projects he was doing. And we like started chatting again. We started communicating again, and then I think it was the Encode Club hackathons. We decided to participate in that, and then through that process, we were introduced to like the entire blockchain space and Algorand specifically.
Yeah, I think like the first hackathon we did was also the first hackathon. We won some prize money, and like we built on Fluence network. And then like our second hackathon was basically Encode Algorand hackathon, where we built the Sigbo game. that's still live on our website actually. And yeah.
Awesome. That's really cool. Is there any question or is there anything you want to share with us that you feel that that the questions that we have posed haven't really allowed you to share? Like, is there any question you wish we had asked you, or is there anything you would just want to say offhand? This is the time.
Can't think of anything.
There's nothing you want to brag about. There's nothing you want to like.
we are approaching like 1,000 followers, and we are really excited about that. I mean, we also have got like a bunch of signups on our website, and we are really excited about that because it basically validates our product vision. And yeah, Tejas, do you want to add anything?
No, not really. I think that covers a lot of it. I just want to say, like, the Algorand community has been really, really welcoming to us. I remember when we were starting out, like, we did not really know anything about Algorand or smart contracts, and the community was like super, super welcoming. And I remember asking a lot of stupid questions to the Algorand devs at the foundation, but they were more than willing to help. So, yeah, I just wanted to take this opportunity to say I appreciate the work that the foundation has been doing.
I think the first person to help us out was HR, I believe, Tejas, from the foundation. No?
I think it was Hai Chao, and I forgot there was a lady as well. But yeah, they were really helpful.
By the way, when you say that you reached out to the developers, was it through the Discord, or was it maybe through the Algorand forum, or like what was the channel here?
I think it was Discord, if I remember correctly. I remember we reached out to Hai Chao first, and then he introduced us to the Algorand Discord server, and also to the GitHub pages, I believe. Basically asked us to put up a post describing our work and ourselves, and through that we actually got a few people approaching us to build out their smart contracts, which was like a kind of a big moment for us because we never had that kind of opportunity before.
That is amazing. Hai Chao is such a legend. Love him. Tsaisak, I think you have another question, correct?
Yes, so for the last question, Hash runs a LinkedIn group. And basic question, are you hiring?
Not at the moment, but once we receive investments, yes, we do plan on hiring for certain positions, because the work keeps getting the workload keeps getting, I don't know what you call it, piled on.
It never ends.
Yeah,
it never ends.
Can you expand a little bit more about the roles you would be looking for if you got the funding?
All right. So the first thing would be someone to manage our community, and then it would probably be on the dev side, and Tejas would be a better person to tell you about the dev side of things.
Yeah, devs definitely much needed because if we want to make this portfolio tracking and DeFi aggregation into like a really valuable product for Algorand, we would need to integrate with basically all of the major protocols that exist. I know there are maybe around 10 now major protocols on Algorand. So integrating with them would be like a huge development effort. So yeah, definitely front-end engineers, back-end engineers will be needed.
Yeah, it's all about picking up the pace, and because we know we can build stuff, but we just want to do it much faster. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for the question, Sisek, and I truly appreciate the answers by Tejas and Nishan. And whenever you guys start hiring, please let me know. All right. You guys have my email, my DMs. Let me know, and we can help propagate the opportunities with the ecosystem because there are many. Our ecosystem is flourishing in all different ways, and of course, we're getting more developers by the day that are looking for opportunities. So please let us know whenever you start hiring for whatever roles, so we can help amplify for the community. And one last fun question. I promise this is the last one, even though we've been saying this for the last 4 or 5 questions. Before we wrap up, are you guys, accepting people to test your platform? Do you have some sort of like waiting list going? Anything in that sense that myself, Sisek, Hash, and of course the entire community that's listening to us live right now, or will catch the recording over the next 30 days, can head out to your website or somewhere to be the first to hear about the news and possibly test the platform as it hits testnet. So is there such a thing?
Yes, please visit our website, upsidefinance.io. It will take you to a page where you can basically fill out your email address and express your interest in testing out the alpha. And we would get back to you in a few weeks' time. You would be the first ones to know about the product. You can, I guess, you could also. I guess you could also join our Discord group and follow us on Twitter if you aren't already following us. That is.
I know I already am, but thank you very much for that. And Algo fam, take note. First of all, go to the Upside Finance Twitter profile, follow these guys so you're on the loop, and go to the website upsidefinance.io to join the waitlist. Be one of the first to try out their testnet and get the news as the project rolls out over the next couple weeks. We're at the top of the hour, so about to wrap up here. But I truly want to, say a big thank you to the Algo and Miami Accelerator team for again putting this amazing cohort for the second time around. So many amazing startups that they are currently accelerating, and I truly want to thank the time of my friends Hash and Sisek for joining me in this conversation today, and of course, thank Tejas and Nishan for taking the time, and especially because it's like right in the middle of the night, super early morning for them, horrible timing, and I apologize for that because the guys are at the other side of the world. So I truly appreciate you taking the time, staying up or waking up early, whatever you did, to have this conversation with us. I truly appreciate it. I wish you guys the best of luck and success over the next couple weeks as you wrap up the Algorithm and Accelerator, but most importantly, as you prepare to launch your project to the Algorithm community, the entire blockchain community, and the entire world. I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys fulfill that promise of bringing the next 1 million users to Algorithm. I'm super excited about it. I really love the solution you guys have. So best of luck. Thank you very much for taking the time. I thank all the entire Algo fam that have joined us live today, or of course we'll catch the recording over the next 30 days. And I hope you all have an amazing morning, afternoon, evening, middle of the night, whatever you are. All right, enjoy, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.